Why do people struggle with going from one chapter in life to the next, one season in life to the next? It's completely inevitable. It happens every few years. None of us can escape it. And yet, on the surface, we can be established. Under the surface, we can be deeply dissatisfied. And the answer is that we already possess this skill. We have to sort of reinstall it into our operating system, so to say. What happens if we don't do that? It's actually really important to know, because even though we may be established, we may have arrived at a certain point, and under the surface, we're dissatisfied. We have these desires, these dreams, these aspirations that don't go away unless we actually relearn this skill. So today I want to unpack this on XE. Here we go. XE, learn the playbook, own the game. Hey! Before we continue, I want to ask you for a big favor. If you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify or podcast, just hit the subscribe button because you can get notified. And that's how we tell the algorithm, hey, more people want to watch this. We can have more discussions, invite great guests, etc. If you like the XE podcast, you'll also like the XE newsletter. So go to christianrayflores.com. I drop 2 emails a week with really good stuff. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, I had a speaking gig at a doctor's conference. It was a lot of fun. I met some amazing people, but hanging out with people that are very, very established also revealed that some of them, many of them, are deeply, deeply dissatisfied. And this, of course, fires me up because I want to know why. The patterns I uncovered through these conversations and through other things that I do in my coaching are the following. These are the 3 downsides to having a highly established career that eventually brings you to deep dissatisfaction. Here's the first one. Sunk cost, right? You've invested so much time, so much energy in being a student and being a practitioner, in learning your craft and studying under somebody. The doctors are, of course, famous for going to school for 15, 16 years. And if you have this sunk cost, it's very hard for you to question the playbook that you've been handed, right? Or to modify the playbook, or to burn the playbook and invent something else. So that's the first one. And you need to watch out for that because every once in a while you do have to burn the playbook. The second thing that happens when you hit this established mark in your career is that you shift energy slowly but very firmly into maintenance mode. 90% of your effort, your time, your energy goes into maintenance of a staff, legal things, admin things. Then you have a lifestyle to support. You have a family by then. Your life becomes completely and utterly with no margin. You don't have margin to change. You do not have margin to learn. Third downside of having this established status actually comes from the second downside, which is 90% of your time and energy and talent is going into maintenance, and you unlearn something very valuable. Up to this point, you have this sort of embedded growth mindset, right? You're fighting for something. You're overcoming obstacles. Actually, you're succeeding in real life, not in spite of the obstacles, but because of the obstacles. It mobilizes you mentally, physically, energetically, creatively. And because you shift to maintenance mode, that muscle sort of atrophies a little bit. You might become sort of downgraded into resilience, right? You have normal day-to-day, week-to-week problems, but you're not anti-fragile anymore. Anti-fragility is the ability to actually get better because of the obstacles, not in spite of the obstacles. So that's the third downside. And what happens then is that maybe the playbook you inherited gives you some result that you expected, let's say of income, of influence, of respect, of lifestyle, but then you're capped because the playbook doesn't support anything more than that. Maybe your values change. Maybe your desires shift. Maybe your creativity kicks in. Maybe new dreams arise. And that's actually inevitably what happens when you become an established professional, is that you grow and your desires actually evolve. And the chapters in life go from one to the next, and then seasons come about. And what made you happy over here is not making you over there. And what got you here is not going to take you there. And there's this gap between the familiar present, the thing that you invest all of your time, that consumes all of your energy, your creative energy, and this new desired future. This gap can only be closed through these 3 moves that I want to unpack for you. And it's really fascinating stuff because I've had so many conversations with so many professionals across so many spaces, and the downsides and how to fill that gap are actually all the same. So here they are. The first one is investing 10 to 20% of your time, talent, and treasure into learning new skills. And I mean, not just every month, but every week, hopefully, and actually much better every day. And that requires massive changes in lifestyle, massive changes in rhythms of life, in habits and things like that. The second one is this. You inherited a playbook. We all do, right? We get it, we play by it. Eventually, it doesn't fit anymore. So you have to learn a new playbook. A new wave of MDs, I was talking to a bunch of them in the doctor's conference, are becoming more part-time clinician, part-time creator, part-time educator. And it's changing the way they do life. Their priorities, their values are much more aligned with this kind of playbook than the old playbook. And this can be applied to any profession, any space. If you're investing 10 to 20% of your time to learning new skills, if you are reinventing the playbook, you have to make this third shift. The third shift is relearning something you've forgotten. But the good thing is you've already done it before, you can do it again, which is you have to learn anti-fragility again, which means the habit of doing very hard things every single week for consistent, maybe 6 to 12 months. That's your new lifestyle. This is a forgotten lifestyle that you're reintroducing into your life. I met an MD at this conference that was doing just that, and she's super happy, is making actually more money. She has this range of revenue streams. And the funny thing is that she's doing so well and so happy in her profession, she doesn't have these unrealized dreams, these sort of capped, plateaued state of mind, that she had got an offer from a venture capital firm to buy her out, which basically meant she didn't have to work a day in her life again. And she said no. Why did she say no? Because she just really loves the way she's practicing her craft. If you're in that space of established and deeply dissatisfied, take a look at the downsides that I just listed. And also understand that there's a gap between the familiar present and this future that is sort of bubbling up as a desire, as an intuition, as inspiration. And to close that gap, if you make those 3 shifts, things are going to start moving for you. If this has helped you, go to christianrayflores.com, subscribe to the XE newsletter. I think you're going to love it. And also watch this video right here about becoming undeniable in the thing that you do.
XE, burn the playbook.